Hi learners! Welcome back to my video with me Rahma Abdulloh from IPSE 2019. Have you ever heard of an Iceland weightlifter named Hafthor Julius Bjornsson who breaks the world record by lifting a weight 501 kilograms last May?
Yeah.
Isn't it that really heavy? I think I just only can lift 3 kilograms of potatoes myself. According to the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, the maximum weight that can be lifted by both male and female is only 27 kilograms. So, how do we lift the objects that are very heavy? And how the pyramids in Egypt were built? Yeah, the answer is by using simple machine. Simple machine is a tool that is used to make humans work easier by modifying a motion and a magnitude of a force. So what are included in simple machine? Let's discuss it one by one. The first is lever. A lever can be made by balancing a board on the support called fulcrum. By pushing down the other end of the board can cause the other end of the board leave. The downward force that you apply is called input force. Then the upward force the board exerts on the load is called output force. And the distance between the input force and the fulcrum is called power arms, while the distance between the load and the fulcrum is called load arms. Is our body a lever? Yes. In our body, the bones function as levers. The joints serve a fulcrum. Skeletal muscle provide a force to move the bones. For example is our arms. As seen in the picture, the bicep acts as the power, the elbow as the fulcrum, and the forearm as the weight. So based on the explanation, what class of lever of our arms? Before you answer that, you have to know that lever divided into 3 classes. There are first class, second class, and third class. In the first class lever, the fulcrum lies between the applied force and the load. For the example is seesaw. And also first class lever occurs when you lift your head off your chest. In the second class lever, the load lies between the applied force and the fulcrum. The common example is wheelbarrow. And also in our body, ankle extension by calf muscle involved to the second class lever. And in the third class lever, the applied force is between the fulcrum and the load, such as a catapult. This third class lever is the common lever in our body. So based on the explanation, which class of our arm in lever, you can comment the answer down below. In mathematically, we can calculate the force, weight, load arm, and power arm by using equation force times power arm equal to weight times load arms. And also for the mechanical advantage. Mechanical advantage is a ratio of the output force to the input force. If the mechanical advantage is bigger than 1, it means the output force is greater than the input force. Meanwhile, if the mechanical advantage is less than 1, it means that the output force is smaller than the input force. So here is the formula for mechanical advantage of lever. Let's move to the incline plane. Have you ever think, why are the mountain roads winding so that the track is longer? And why does the knife have a pointed shape? All these questions related to the incline plane. The incline planes that we will study consist of ramps, wedge, and screw. The first is ramp. Ramp is sloping surface that used for raising heavy bodies. A long and shallow ramp reduces the force you need to lift a load upward. However, the time needed to move the object is longer because the distance traveled is longer. But if you use a shorter and steeper ramp to lift the object to the same height, it requires more force, but the time needed to move the object is faster because the distance traveled is shorter. The example of the use of ramp is when Egyptians used inclined planes to build giant pyramids. They moved heavy pieces of stone on the long ramps. Second is wedge. Wedge has lengthened surface and wide base that slope to a thin edge. When you apply downward force to the thick end of the wedge, the thin end increases the force and drives it sideways, cutting or splitting an object apart. The example of which is knife. One of the factors that determine knife sharpness and durability is edge angle or the slope. Steeper the slope, then the sharper the knife. Another example of which in our body is incisors. It has chisel shape, which is used to cut food. The next is screw. The screw functions like a roll inclined plane, each turn pushing it gradually into the plane. The screw thread is what gives strength to the screw. It helps the screw hold object better than nails. The nails are not as secure as screw because the cylinders are smooth. The screw principles are also found on the underside of the light bulb and on the jam bottle. So here is the formula that we use for inclined plane to calculate the force. And the mechanical advantage can be formulated as follows. The third of simple machine is wheel and axle. Just as a lever, it can be used to either magnify force or increase the distance moved. Usually, a wheel has the bigger radius than the axle. Axle is a wheel turned around a small central rod. In a wheel, the strongest force is felt at its axle because it moves the less. The farther you move, the less force is needed. Well, what's the function of the different surfaces in the wheel? Let's see the answer by comparing the cars and the tractors. So which one is appropriate to use for passing muddy tracks? The answer is easier to use a tractor, right? Car wheels can get enough grip to move. Mud is wet and slimy and doesn't have any snag and bumps to provide friction. The car's wheels are too small and smooth to provide enough surface area to reduce the pressure of the heavy weight of the car on the road. Meanwhile, the tractor overcomes this problem by having wide tires with deep treads that provide a better grip. Let's move to the pulley. Pulley is variation of wheel and axle. A pulley can change the direction or magnitude of the force. You can lift much heavier weights using a pulley system. The more wheels and rope there are, the less force you need to lift something. But the further you have to pull the rope. Pulley consists of three types, which is the fixed pulley, moving pulley, and compound pulley. The first is fixed pulley. It is the fixed pulley or not moving. Same like lever. In the figure, point A acts as the fulcrum, point B is the load, and point C is power. The AC distance is called the power arm, and the distance AB is called the load arm. So, for the mechanical advantage, we can use formula from lever as follows. Because the mechanical advantage is 1, so force we exert will be equal to the weight of the object. So this type of pulley cannot be used to lift the object with large mass. An example of using this pulley is when we drawing a water from the well. Have you ever done it? The next is moving pulley. Moving pulley is a pulley that can move while it is in use. Let's see the figure. Point A is load point, point B is a power point, and for point C is the fulcrum. So we can see AC as the load arm and BC as the power arm, and it is for the mechanical advantage. If you are lifting weights using this type of pulley, you only need a half of force the weight of the load. So if like that, why don't people use movable pulley to drawing water? It should be noted that although the moving pulley has a mechanical advantage is too, but it cannot be applied when drawing water from the well, because the force that we exert is in the opposite direction to the weight of the object. So it's very dangerous to use a moving pulley to draw water. The last is compound pulley. Compound pulley is composed of several pulleys. This pulley system can be used to lift very heavy loads. The mechanical advantage of this compound pulley is the same as the number of pulleys in it, so that the mechanical advantage equal to N, where n is the number of pulleys. And the last of simple machine is a gears. Gear is a wheel with identical teeth around its edge. Gears can be connected together by a chain or they can mesh directly together. Gears can be used to change speed, torque, or the direction of rotation. If the axle turns it, it's called the driving gear. A gear train is a series of 2 or more connected gears. If the gears are identical, they both turn at the same speed but in different directions. These are called parallel gears. If the driven gear is smaller than the driving gear, it will rotate faster. The gear acts as speed multiplier. As we know, gear on a bicycle make it easier for us to organize and change the speed and weight of a pedal according to the wheel that we are facing. When a small gear at the front wheel is connected to large gear at the back, the bike is in low gear. This turns the wheel slowly but forcefully, making it ideal for uphill trips. So there are many simple machines found around us, right? Such as the tool that helps us work like a car driving, a tap water, lift tools, hammers, staplers, and many more. And also automation that do heavy work, such as a tower cranes. It used to lift objects horizontally. This tower crane facilitates the construction process, especially in the manufacture of buildings. This machine is driven by many pulleys so that it provides a mechanical advantage over than humans can do. So, is that a simple machine around you? Thank you for watching and don't forget to think like a proton. Always positive. See you in the next video. Bye bye.